Most AI governance is not governance. It's paperwork pretending to be governance. And if you're on a board that's about to approve some AI policy, then you're potentially making this mistake. Let's get into it. So I've been watching a conversation on LinkedIn over the last week talking about this area, and I've had 4 different contributors. None of them know each other, but all of them sort of circle round to the same sort of issue, and that's what we're going to discuss this week. A technical governance expert told me that policies and rules and guidance are all very good, but they're not the same as execution, and they don't tell you when and what the system did at the specific point that it executed some activity. And that's a problem. A founder who develops AI systems made the case that the fancy documents and diagrams in particular that we have around AI sort of masks the real understanding of what the systems are doing, when they're doing it, and how they're doing it. An AI trainer working with small businesses explained that, sort of asked the difficult question, is the AI policies that you've got there to keep the regulators or auditors happy, or the board happy, for instance, or is it to actually change behaviour in the organisation? The truth, she said, is that often it's neither of those things. So is it doing a job at all? A doctor of governance pointed out that transparency of what your AI systems are doing is all very well, but observability of what it did, when it did it, that's more difficult to get. And without that, you haven't really got governance. And here's what none of them sort of name explicitly, but I think they're all circling around this. AI governance as practiced by most boards is documentation, a risk register, a framework, maybe even a fancy diagram, an audit trail. Or it's a set of these documents sat on SharePoint that no one's ever read. And none of this actually touches the moment a consequential decision is actually taken by an AI agent, for instance. None of this tells you what the system did. None of it changes the behaviour of the people that actually use the tools. Boards are creating and approving the artifacts of governance, but they're not really governance. This is not a small distinction, it's the entire problem. Some data that's important here. So 86% of UK businesses now report they're doing some sort of AI. They're using AI in some sort of way. 54% say that they're actually integrating it. Among those that are really pushing with AI, 1 in 5 are now talking about seeing significant staff reductions as a result. KPMG have cut their graduate intake by 29%, Deloitte by 18%, EY by 11%. And that's happening right now and is having an impact on, particularly on graduates. Now, I wrote a blog about that this week. I'll put a link down below if you want to check that out in a bit more detail. So this is evidence of significant change to the way our workplaces operate. Meanwhile, the Institute of Directors in the UK report that 86% of boards have not been briefed on the fundamentals of AI, what it does, how to ask the right questions. That's a problem. So what we've got is large parts of the economy adopting AI. We've got jobs being affected by it. We've got AI being adopted, and we've got boards that are just agreeing policies that don't really have any teeth, that don't really understand what's going on. I think that's a problem. If you think that's a problem as well, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. It really helps me get this message out there and helps us to get this conversation going. And tell me what your company is doing about managing a reduction in junior members of staff. So ask yourself these 3 questions. First, if something goes wrong with your AI and it causes harm, who has the authority to stop the program? Who carries the accountability for that activity? And I'm not talking about the CTO, because that's the default setting, or a committee, or a process. Who? Who is the belly button you're going to press when something goes wrong? If you don't have that and you have to do it retrospectively after a problem's happened, then you're probably going to have to be answering that question to a regulator. I guess what they will be saying is, why wasn't that in place before you started using the system? Can your board answer the question, why did your AI system make that decision at the point it made the decision? Not what decision did it make. And this is the difference between transparency and observability. Transparency is understanding what happened after the fact, the sort of audit trail. And observability is the ability to interrogate the decision at the point of consequence. Those two things are very different. Most boards have transparency, very few have observability. And without that observability, your governance is just reconstruction. It's not real control. Question 3, is there a defined threshold at which AI decisions must be handed over to a human? How do we keep human in the loop? And is that threshold enforced, or is it just written down? A paragraph in your governance document that says, at this level, a human must be involved in the decision, is just that, a paragraph in a document. If it's not enforced, it's not control at all. Enforcement is a system stopping. Enforcement is a decision not being made, a decision being pushed up to a human. Enforcement is something that happens and stops the AI making a mistake. Enforcement is bound to the moment of action rather than a retrospective action. If your board has all three of these in place and answers them well, you're governing AI. If you haven't, you've probably got a policy document, you've probably got some governance documents, but you're not actually governing AI in your organisation. But this isn't a technology problem, it isn't even a strategy problem, it is a governance problem. One of the boards I'm working with that are probably ahead in this game are not those with a very cool strategy document or lots of diagrams, etc. about their AI policy. They're not the boards that are saying, what are we using AI for? There are those boards that are saying, how do we know this AI is working, and how can we demonstrate that when it stops working or it does something that we're not happy with, then it stops and somebody jumps in. Those are the boards that are really ahead of the game. Now, this is not easy stuff. This takes some time, this takes some thought, this takes some understanding from a board that is deploying this technology. And I understand that the drive to make better products, to save money, to reduce staffing costs are real and absolutely there. But doing it effectively and ethically, I strongly believe, will make sure that you solve problems now, or at least put processes in place now that will protect your company going forward. So here's a question I'll leave you with. If something went wrong in your business today with AI, would your board be reconstructing the problem, or would your board be actively managing the situation? Because they're not the same thing. And the answer to that question will describe whether you've got real governance or just paperwork. Hope you found that helpful. Subscribe to my newsletter. There'll be a link down below. It's free and you'll get updates of what I'm doing, what I'm writing about, and hopefully in the future some courses, etc. that I'll be running to help boards and senior executives get their head around this governance piece. All right, I've been the Professor. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.